So these gig companies are really liking inflation. That's right. They're actually liking the inflation right now that we're having. My name is John McFall, and I want to welcome you to the McFallRI channel, where I teach you how to make $25 to $30 an hour doing food delivery. And today I want to talk to you about an article that I found in the Washington Post that's called "Inflation is Helping Gig Companies Like Uber and Hurting Their Workers." The article talked about the fact that with the inflation that's happening right now, the cost of everything is going up to the consumers, including platforms like DoorDash, Uber Eats, and GrubHub. But it's hurting us workers out there. And I wanted to go over a few key points of this article and kind of talk to you a little bit about how you can help yourself in this situation. One of the very first things that this article pointed out was while the prices are going up for the consumers, the income for the drivers are going down. There's a couple of reasons for this. The first reason is with the way of the economy, the way it is today, there's a lot more people that are actually joining the platform so that they can try to make some extra money to kind of get them back to where they were before the inflation with the cost of things at the way they are today. So this is causing an influx of drivers to join, kind of like when we were in the pandemic. The only problem now is while we were working and they were sending out stimulus checks and people had a lot of money and they were just dumping it all into food delivery, and us drivers that have been here a while know that we were making really good money during the pandemic. This time, the prices are going up and people don't have a whole lot of extra money to spend. So the second thing that's happening because of this situation is that customers are paying higher fees. They're paying higher for the cost to get the food from the restaurants. But the one thing that they have control over, and the one thing that they can affect the cost of their meal, is they can slow down on the amount of tips that they are giving out to us drivers, because they can put less than they normally would. Some might even start putting none just because of the cost going up on the actual orders that they're having to place on the platforms. So the article said that the rate that these companies are bringing drivers on is the highest that it has ever been. And this is even through the pandemic. The one thing that the number of drivers that were surveyed for this article stated that 70% of them said that it's directly related to the inflation that is happening in our country today, because they need to make extra money because they don't have the same amount of buying power now because of inflation and the way the costs have gone up so high. So this means that there's a lot of more people that are coming on, but they're taking away from the income from us that are already here, because they're out there, and on Uber Eats and on GrubHub especially, you don't even have to have a schedule to be able to take orders. On DoorDash, it's not the same story. If they have enough drivers, they gray out the areas, but you can always get onto these apps pretty much as you want at certain times of the day, and people are taking advantage of this. One of the biggest problems that I have in this whole scenario is this, and I've stated it before in other videos. I've been doing food delivery for over 2 years now. I know there's a lot of you guys and gals out there that have been doing it a long time too. And the problem that I have with these platforms is they don't care if you started 5 years ago or 3 years ago or yesterday. They will not give benefits to people even getting priority on orders when they're out there working on the platforms, because they have got, some tenure and some longevity with these platforms. The platforms don't care, they don't recognize it, and they don't help drivers that are veteran drivers, whether it's 6 months, or 5 years. They don't give anybody a priority when it comes to these orders. They don't care. There was one interesting note in this article too, that was talking about these platforms and their actual W-2 employees, the ones that actually work at the companies, like the, support people that answer the phone or the programmers or that kind of stuff. They've actually put on hiring freezes for their employee style positions in the company. So they can prepare for the fact that we're getting into recession and they're going to start losing income because of this. So while they're freezing the hiring on the employees that work for the company, for the drivers that want to sign on as independent contractors, they're letting as many get on there as they want. And, this will cause a problem too overall, because not only is those new influx of drivers taking orders from us, but they will also accept lower value orders than people that know what they're doing out there. So, rather than an order going through the system and being hit by, 5, 10, 20 different drivers before they finally raise that price up for us drivers, they don't have to do that as much when you have a bunch of new drivers on the platform that don't know what they're doing. Because when we, think about back to when you and I started doing food delivery, we had no clue what we were doing, and we were just kind of grabbing everything that they threw at us until we figured out that we didn't have to. And so the orders that are coming in will be grabbed by these newer drivers before they have an opportunity to hit you and I with a higher base pay, because the orders aren't getting accepted. Another thing that this is going to impact is if there are more drivers out there working on these platforms, guess what else will go away? The peak pay and the bonuses and the challenges will go down on these platforms, because they've got so many drivers that they don't have to use those types of things as incentives to get us out there, because they have so many orders that they need the people. So with a lot more drivers on the platforms and a lot more drivers being out there, guess what's going to happen? We're going to probably see a decrease in these kind of benefits that we get, in the form of peak pay bonuses and challenges. So that's going to really impact our income too. So what can we do? What can you do to help yourself during this recession with all this stuff going on? And now the new thing that more drivers are hitting the platform and that's going to continue to go up. I've got a few different suggestions that can help you through this period, and it's, some that I've actually stated before in some of my videos. My first recommendation is get on as many platforms as you can. So if you see income going down on one of your platforms, that you have others that you can tap into to make, that change, and to continue to get the money that you need when you're out there. So, don't be afraid to look at other apps and see what other apps are out there that you can do. I've signed up for Instacart, I've signed up for Spark, I've signed up for Brody. So if something happens on these food delivery platforms, I've got something else I can turn on that is going to help me get the income that I need. So while we're going through this recession and everything is going to be sucking, the more options I have, just as in the big three that I use when I do food delivery, multi-apping that gives me more options, have other apps that you can tap into if you want to continue using this, gig economy type of work to make the money that you need to make. So look into other apps. And the second thing I'm going to recommend is, and something I've stated a couple of times over the last month or so because of this economy, don't be afraid to get out there and get yourself a part-time or a full-time W-2 job to help you get through this season in your life if you need to. I know a lot of people like the freedom and the flexibility of gig work, and that's all fine and good, but if you find that it's not helping you get all the income that you need to sustain your family, don't be afraid to go put in an application somewhere just to get you through this time until you can get back to, some kind of regularity on these gig apps. So, don't be afraid to get a job if that's something that you need to do to take care of your family. So I'm sorry to have had to have brought you some bad news today, but I always try to keep you guys informed on what I hear and what I hear from, bigger and higher levels so that you guys can, prepare yourselves to deal with these situations that are happening. Things aren't looking good in a lot of places right now. The retailers like Walmart and Target are having a tough time. My full-time job is getting freight moved for companies, and I've seen a slowdown at my W-2 job because of this economy, and it's getting harder and harder and harder in many different areas, and it's going to continue to be this way until they figure it out, at the federal level and get this all fixed. But make sure that you do everything that you can to take care of your family, and try to mitigate the costs that you have so that you don't have to have as much money to survive out there. So I think it's going to be a little bit tougher for a while now before they finally get this thing figured out, but it's going to be a rough road between now and then. I'm not going to kid you. I think it's going to be a very, very rough road, and we could be teetering on either fixing this thing or going into an actual depression in the upcoming years. And I wish the best for all of my subscribers or anyone else that watches this video. So I hope that you guys are doing the best, and I hope that you get it figured out. Would like to ask you also to like this video and to subscribe to my channel. What I want to leave you with is I hope that you guys are taking care of yourselves and your family, and I'm going to leave it at that today, and I want to say thanks for watching my video.